If we're talking about a new constellation of growth, like it or not, but China will always be a primary part of that constellation. Well, Kobus van der Wath, who's founder and group managing director of the Beijing Axis, joins us now to really assess the China story. But for the uninitiated first, the Beijing Axis, it's an intriguing name. What does the organization do? I know, but for those who don't.
Of course. The Beijing Axis is now almost 11 years old. It was founded just over 10 years back. And it is a China-focused international advisory and procurement business. We have 4 companies in the group. We have a commodity trader. We have a corporate finance advisory business. We have a global procurement house and a strategy and management consulting business. And really playing a role in that axis between, originally 11 years ago, China and the world, but increasingly just between different parts of the world in commodities, capital, procurement and strategy.
Okay, you have your finger on the pulse of China, in other words. So this debate about the Chinese economy, the state of it, coupled with the global economic slowdown, coupled with the political transition in China, take stock for us.
Yes, well, we're seeing different structural changes over the medium and the long term, of course, where developed markets are maturing and have matured, and places like Europe are in some degree of trouble, are hardly growing or not growing or even shrinking. Even in the United States, we've seen only barely a tentative recovery over recent years. We've seen Japan for more than 2 decades almost stagnant. Yet over the same period, we've seen developing countries in various parts of the world come into their own. China is a key one,
and really
Southeast Asia, even Africa now.
Yes.
And I think that backdrop is very important as we sit here at the Growth Net to assess where to from here.
Okay, but where to for the Chinese economy from here? You know, we could debate between a soft landing and a hard landing, but I know you don't like that debate very much. Really, will 2013 be a more robust year for the Chinese economy? 2012 was a tough one, and it took its toll, for instance, on the world mining industry.
Indeed. Well, we have a clear view on that. We see 2013 with China growing just over 8%. In terms of GDP growth. It grew just at just less than 8% last year. But I think the big thing here is it's growing much lower than, say, in 2007 when it grew at 14%.
Sure.
But the important point here is that going forward, say, over the next 5 years, we see it growing at a more moderate pace, but in a sustainable manner. And if you look at the leadership transition, last year in the Communist Party, now literally currently in the NPC, then the comments, the statements, the signals, the messaging is consistent with that. China does not want to grow at the highest rate possible. It wants to grow at a good rate, at an appropriate rate. It wants to see a different kind of growth that is more sustainable, quality growth, more R&D, more value added, more environmentally conscious. And that transformation, I think, is characterizing the shape, the shifting that's going on in China. And I think you're now today going into China as a multinational or an SME for very different reasons from 5-10 years back. You're finding Chinese companies on your own shores around the world, very different from 5-10 years back. So China's role and influence is only growing, but its game is very different. And I think as a CEO, as a management team, as companies, industries, countries, one needs to be very perceptive to appreciate where those changes impact our business, our company, our industry.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm changing gears here a little bit, but just, what, a few days ago you were in Cape Town?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so I'm sure you visit often, but, you know, in the context of the Growth Net, you know, do you see China really playing an even bigger role in the industrialization of Africa, or am I putting it too simply?
Look, I think Africa is a key market for China for many reasons. Diplomatically, China is asserting itself because of the influence it can have in Africa and the support it could gain, and it has done that over the last 10-20 years. It's an important trade opportunity for China, for its goods, for its services. It's a market. It's 1 billion people. It's, you know, almost a $2 trillion economy growing at one of the highest rates of growth for a region anywhere in the world today. But of course, I think at the core of China's interest currently still is the fact that Africa is also a resource source, a resource basket. Energy, metals and minerals, timber, a long list. But your question is an interesting one, because Africa is changing fast, and I think so is China, as we've just said. Its growth model is changing, and its engagement globally is changing. And I therefore say that it might take a long time, but indeed, Chinese are investing aggressively across various industries around the globe, and also in Africa.
Would you say particularly in Africa? No.
No, not particularly. If you think, for example, Australia received $45 billion in the resource industry over the last 4 or 5 years. The total investment cumulatively of China in Africa is not even 20 billion. So 55 countries versus 1 country. So no, but I think in large part Chinese efforts to invest in Africa has been frustrated because of the different languages, the different systems, the challenges. China is a new investor globally, but it is learning, it is internalizing those lessons. It has burnt its fingers in many investments over the last 4 or 5 years, and that's the way Beijing works. It assesses, it reassesses, rolls out a few new rules and approval processes change, different tick boxes.
And goes back.
And then goes back. But the medium long-term trend is for China to become a very important player globally, including then therefore Africa, across industries. And that will influence even I believe, Africa's industrialization process. So it won't purely be about extractive industries. It'll be about building assembly lines, manufacturing plants 5, 10 years from now. And I think the world is really looking at Africa, but China is clearly well positioned too.
On that note, Kobus van der Wath, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.